Imagine you're floating in a world of neon pinks, electric blues, and swaying emerald greens. The sunbeams pierce through the crystal clear water, dancing on the surface of a vibrant coral reef. It looks like a sanctuary. It looks like paradise. But beneath that tranquil surface lies a reality that would make any horror director jealous. In this world, beauty is a warning, and silence is a weapon. The coral reef isn't just an underwater garden, it's one of the most competitive and dangerous battlegrounds on Earth. Here, survival isn't just about the fast and the large, it's about the masters of biological warfare, the invisible assassins, and the guardians that hold the power of life and death in a single touch. Today, we are diving into the abyss to uncover the most lethal reef guardians ever discovered. And stick around, because the one at the very top of the list isn't a shark or a giant predator, but a creature so inconspicuous you might actually try to pick it up on your next vacation. Before we get into the heavy hitters, we need to understand the reef guardian mindset. These creatures aren't out there looking for a fight. They are the ultimate pacifists until you cross a line. Take the blue-ringed octopus, for example. This tiny cephalopod is barely the size of a golf ball. It spends most of its time hiding in crevices or discarded shells, looking utterly adorable. But when it's provoked, its body flashes with brilliant, pulsating blue rings. This is the reef's version of a high-voltage warning sign. Within that tiny body is a cocktail of tetrodotoxin, a neurotoxin that is 1,200 times more powerful than cyanide. There is no known antivenom. One bite contains enough venom to kill 26 adult humans within minutes. The scariest part? The bite is often painless. You might not even know you've been tagged until your muscles stop responding, your vision blurs, and your lungs simply forget how to breathe. It's a silent, graceful exit from the world, administered by a creature that fits in the palm of your hand. Now, if you think you can stay safe just by looking out for bright colors, you're dead wrong. Let's talk about the master of the long game, the stonefish. If the blue-ringed octopus is the flashy assassin, the stonefish is the ghillie-suited sniper. It is widely considered the most venomous fish in the world, and it looks exactly like a piece of weathered rock or encrusted coral. It doesn't swim away when you approach. It sits perfectly still, confident in its camouflage. This is where the danger lies. Most encounters happen because a distracted diver or a child wading in the shallows accidentally steps on one. The moment pressure is applied to its back, 13 needle-sharp dorsal spines pierce through the skin, injecting a potent neurotoxin that causes pain so intense it's often described as worse than childbirth or broken bones. Victims have been known to beg doctors to amputate their limbs just to stop the sensation. It causes respiratory failure, heart collapse, and if you're stuck on a remote reef without immediate medical help, it's game over. The stonefish doesn't hunt you, it waits for you to make a mistake. Think about the sheer variety of ways the reef tries to keep its secrets. We've had the tiny biter and the camouflage stinger, but what about the invisible phantom? Enter the box jellyfish, specifically the irukandji and the Chironex fleckeri. These aren't your typical beach blob jellyfish. They are active hunters with primitive eyes that can actually track movement. Their tentacles are lined with millions of microscopic harpoons called nematocysts. When they brush against your skin, they don't just sting, they launch a chemical assault on your nervous system, your heart, and your skin cells. The venom is so sophisticated that it causes the heart to contract and never relax again. In the time it takes you to swim back to the boat, your body could already be shutting down. It is the definition of a lethal guardian, patrolling the edges of the reef like a translucent ghost that you never see coming until the fire starts burning under your skin. But let's shift gears for a moment. You might be wondering why these creatures need such overkill levels of venom. The answer is simple. The reef is a high-speed environment. If a predator bites a fish and that fish swims away for 5 minutes before dying, the predator loses its meal to the current or another scavenger. On the reef, you need to turn the lights out instantly. That's why the cone snail is such a terrifying marvel of evolution. To a casual observer, it's just a beautiful, patterned shell, something you'd want to put on your mantle. But inside that shell is a predatory snail equipped with a literal harpoon. When it senses the chemical signature of a fish, it extends a long, fleshy proboscis and fires a hollowed-out tooth filled with a conotoxin cocktail. This isn't just one toxin, it's hundreds of different proteins working together to paralyze the victim's nervous system in a fraction of a second. The fish doesn't even twitch, it just stiffens and is swallowed whole by the snail. For humans, the larger species like the geography cone are nicknamed the cigarette snail because they say if you get stung, you only have enough time to smoke one cigarette before you collapse. There is no antivenom for this either. Doctors can only provide life support until the toxins wear off, assuming you make it to the hospital in time. Let's pause. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the ocean's deadliest residents, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next exploration into the dark corners of the natural world. Now, we've covered the small and the hidden, but we can't talk about reef guardians without mentioning the heavy hitters that patrol the blue water drop-offs. The gray reef shark and the oceanic whitetip are the enforcers. While sharks generally get a bad rap, they are essential to the reef's health. They are the doctors of the ocean, culling the sick and the weak to ensure the genetic pool stays strong. However, if you enter their territory during a feeding frenzy, or if they feel cornered, they transition from curious observers to lethal protectors in a heartbeat. Their lateral line system allows them to feel your heartbeat from hundreds of yards away. They don't need venom because they have hundreds of millions of years of predatory perfection, rows of serrated teeth, and a bite force that can crush bone like it's dry kindling. But there is a different kind of guardian, one that doesn't just protect itself, but unwittingly protects the entire ecosystem by being a nightmare to anything that touches it. The crown of thorns starfish is a biological tank covered in long, venomous spines. While it's actually a threat to the coral itself when its population explodes, it represents the raw, jagged edge of reef life. To handle one is to invite a week of nausea, swelling, and excruciating pain. It serves as a reminder that in this environment, even the slowest moving creatures are armed to the teeth. Then there's the sea snake, specifically the Belcher's sea snake. These creatures are incredibly docile and often shy away from divers, but pound for pound, their venom is among the most toxic in the entire animal kingdom, many times more lethal than a king cobra's. They spend their lives weaving through the coral heads, hunting small fish in the tightest crevices. They are the ultimate specialists, adapted perfectly to a life at sea, with paddle-like tails and the ability to hold their breath for hours. They represent the elegance of the reef's lethality, calm, focused, and devastatingly effective if pushed to the brink. So, why does this matter? Why should we care about a bunch of hyper-lethal snails and fish? Because these guardians are the sentinels of an ecosystem that provides oxygen for every second breath you take. The presence of these top-tier predators and highly specialized defenders is a sign of a healthy, functioning reef. When the stonefish and the sharks disappear, the balance shifts and the reef begins to die. Their lethality is a form of balance. They keep populations in check, they prevent overgrazing, and they ensure that the reef remains a complex, multi-layered fortress of life. As humans, we are the only real threat to these guardians. Climate change, ocean acidification, and overfishing are doing more damage than any venom ever could. When we lose the reef, we don't just lose a beautiful vacation spot, we lose a global life support system. These lethal creatures aren't the villains of the story, they are the warriors fighting to keep their world intact. The next time you see a photo of a beautiful coral reef, remember the silent assassins lurking in the shadows. Respect their space, admire their evolution, and understand that their power is what keeps the ocean's heart beating. If this journey into the reef's deadliest corners changed the way you look at the ocean, hit that like button and let us know in the comments which of these guardians you find the most fascinating. Would you rather face the invisible sting of a box jellyfish or the excruciating spine of a stonefish? For more deep-sea mysteries and incredible wildlife breakdowns, check out the video on your screen right now. The ocean is full of secrets, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.